Hi there. Let's continue on this project. I think for this week we will build the system info page. Remember from the last week we built the GUI, we made a restart page as well. You're going to go back to that video, you can have a look. That restart page is this. If I go to restart server, it will restart automatically. That gives you time. If you've uploaded any new JavaScript files, you can just refresh those files as well. We also went and brought this page out into the Chrome browser, so we can have a look here. So instead of you guys trying to see what's happening there, we can actually simulate it on the screen as well. And this is live. This is live from here. Okay, so we don't run a separate app or a separate system. It actually reads live from this side. Okay, so what do we have to now? If you click on system, you go back to index. So in order to get our system view, we will need to create a web page for that. So let's start with that. Let's create a web page and let's get all the information we want on that page, on that system page, pulled in. Okay, so back into our code. So we will need to create a status HTML page that we will create in the public folder. So let's click on public and we can create a new file and we will be calling it status.html, and we will start with the doc type here, and we will start with HTML language. So I'm letting the header 8, okay, that we can change. So view name will be kiosk status display, and we can change that to, sorry, that needs to go display, and that is actually a viewport. Okay, and our style sheet is actually sitting in CSS style sheet, so let's pick that up. Then let's close that, and let's close that. And we want to start with something. Before we start with anything new, no, I don't want to do that. I want to close my body off, so we know that's done. And then I want to close off my HTML, and we know that's done. For now, I also just want to add, and I'm going to copy it from the menu side, just to go back to my main screen. So I'm going to add a footer here, so let's go back to status, and as the body, I'm going to add a footer, and that's just to add an icon so I can go back to the main page. And then in my menus, where I've got my icon for system, there's my system view, I would like to put in my status.html page. Okay, so what will happen now, if you can go back onto, so if I click on the status page, instead of jumping now to my index page, it should actually jump back to the new page we just created. So let's upload that to the Raspberry Pi and have a look. Okay, while we're in the code, we're still on the status side. Let's just, having just a button pop up for menu, we don't really know where we are. So in the body, I'm just gonna put in status and loading. It's not gonna mean anything as long as we can see we're in a new page. So I'm saving that and I'm transferring it back to here. Right. So click on system loading. So let's just open that up on this side again. So we click on system. That's the old one. Let's click again. So system loading, and there's your menu button to go back to main system. Okay. Home, system, restart. I'm not going to restart now. So we're going to work on system load. So we've now created the page and we want to start populating this. Now, most of the stuff that we're going to populate might be coming from our system files. Now I'll explain that right in the next few minutes. Let's minimize that and let's have a look. What do we want to bring in here? So let's start with a header. And in the header I'm actually going to put it's picked up the image as well already, so that's fine. So this is the auto intelligence or whatever is happening in the background, or AI. I don't think it's AI. I didn't activate AI on this machine. I don't like working with that anymore. So it generates a code based off other codes on the same project, but it does get it right sometimes, and most of the times it doesn't come right what I want to do. So body, let's take that out, and we would like to add a div here, and let's give that div a class. Let's give it the class of status panel. Okay, you see how irritating this auto generate start becoming. You want to type and it does what it wants to. Then I would like to have a div again, and let's make that a class for item. So that will be a class of an item, and we're going to define these items. We're going to define these in the next few minutes. And inside this, we want to have the say DNS name, and yes, span, but I want to do host name. For now, that. And then we want another item, so I'm just going to copy that. And let's say CPU choose will be that one, temperature, and this draw space. So let's change that to CPU usage. Okay, and that will be CPU. I'm happy with that. And memory usage, disk usage, yes, let's do that. I also want CPU temp. So CPU temp, and let's make that then temp. Okay, so these iris is what we, those who know HTML, we will bind to those iris and then we will start placing the information in those sections. Okay. We would also like to see, let's do H2, we do Wi-Fi. Okay. I'm going to do that still not sure, but let's do another div, not dialog, div. Keep it class as an item. We're still within that item range. We want to make sure that we are in that item range. No, we aren't. So that actually means you get cut out and go back here. Right. Item range. We call it the IP. And we can span that and apologies. And that we can make Wi-Fi IP. So what we're doing now is we're just listing all this information that we want to use, and to start off, we might not use all of them. We'll start adding them as we go along. So here we're going to have a special class, and also class of item. Class item. I keep spelling it wrong. But we're going to fill a couple of things in here. So in here we will have signal, not signal strength, but I just want it like that. Don't want this. And it keeps bugging me around. Look, I don't want this signal. Then I'm going to say span. I'm going to do this. Let it auto write, but I will change what needs to change. So the DB. And I will close this down. And there might be a mistake. So we've got the Wi-Fi signals listed here. And then I'm going to copy paste this section. And this is something we will create as well. Okay. As part of that division, this is part of the bigger one we want to be in. And here I want to create another network. So we've got the Wi-Fi network I'm going to see, but I also want to see the normal network that's happening on this unit. So on a normal network, we will have also div command, div, and now it's out of options. Okay, div, and we'll give it a class, another class of a item, class of an item, and we want to say Ethernet IP equal, I will span an Ethernet IP. I am happy with that name, so let's keep that name. So that's there. I'm going to keep a space below that, and then I've got my footer at the bottom. Oh, this close. I already know we're going to have a JavaScript that needs to be pulled in here. So underneath the footer here, I'm going to start adding the script section. Not search, script. and source equal. We're going to create a Java file script for this. So in our Java file folder, we'll have a status script. We'll keep the same name that is selected there. Okay, sorry. Okay. And that's it for now. Where did body go? Took the body away. Okay, that actually needs to move down. Right. It seems our body is now at the bottom and top. And we've got the script that we've included in here. I've got my footer in here. And I've got items which all form part of my status panel. And if we run it now, it's going to look like a mess. But let's run it. And let's see what mess we actually do have. Okay, so if we go back in there now, it doesn't look like a big mess. You could see the names, everything, it's in green. Let me pull that up for you guys as well. So if we go back into status, then we've got the name on top. We've got the CPU name, usage, all of that on this side. Okay, still a little bit cluttered. But let's see, because what we've actually done is we've created these item classes. And that item class should sit in CSS. And I think it sits at the bottom on this. So I've already created these from a previous round. Guys, I'm going to make all this code available for you as well. For those who want to copy some of it out. I'm just busy working on another solution to get this code available. I don't see the item class here. Let's go this. Something very interesting. Right, let's start populating the values on this form or page. For that, we're going to go back into our main JavaScript application. We're going to start adding a couple of things here. So first what we're going to add is, and I'm going to copy that over from our notes. So we want the OS, so OS library, and we want the file system library. Okay. Then we also want to run child processes. So that's a process we call outside of this application, which is already existing procedures in your Linux or whatever you're running. So we're just going to call those processes and get feedback from them, and then display it on the display. Then what we're going to do, and again I'm going to copy all this because it's quite a lot of information. At the bottom I'm going to start adding, no, not this. So here's the bottom, I'm going to add this whole section. So for this video, 7, so get API status. So app system status, so when I call get the app system status, it's going to call this routine. So it's the same when you get here, you call something that side, it's going to the index. If you call restart, it's going to do a restart server. So the same we do at the bottom here. So we call API on your system status, and first thing we're going to try to do is getting the host name. So that's part of the OS, and we're getting a host name, and we display that. Then another constant, CPU usage. For that we're going to run external command, and that command is going to be this stop. There's a command. You can actually type that into your command prompt in Linux, and will return a string, and based on that string we can actually see what we're going to require. I might do that in a few minutes to show you how it works. CPU temp, same thing, we're going to run external command for that, for a drive as well as for a signal. So you can see signal db, and then we do some math here at the moment. So we're going to say a signal percentage, and we do a whole lot of math on decibel, which is a logarithmic scale, so you can bring it closer to a linear scale. We've got our Ethernet section that we're going to call. Again, we're calling a command from a normal IP command. So that's a normal console IP command. And then we're going to push all of this back, all these commands we're going to push back into the web page. One thing you will not see here is my CPU RAM, which while I was typing now, and the IntelliSense or whatever it's popping up said we need to include that memory usage. That I will write now, because that I didn't test before. But let's first get other ones working and make sure that we don't miss anything. Okay, so what we've done, like, just repeat what we've done. We have added on top function. We're going to use an OS. We can use a file system. Now you can see we haven't used the file system yet, never been used yet, but we're getting to that. And we're using the external applications, and that's outside of this app. What we also need to do, and I haven't said that yet, is, oh, we did, there it is, static files. So I've already said we're going to serve the JSON files as well. That came from a previous round to where we did the reset. So let's upload this back into here, and let's see what happens. So when I go back to this, transfer it, you see use xcopy on a back command, and then xcopy to here. Okay, so nothing's happening, and the reason why nothing's happening, we haven't restarted the servers, because remember we now change all of this into the main server application. So we need to restart the server application. So I'm going to go to my menu, restart the server, and system, and there it starts popping up. So let's bring you closer. So you can see the name, CPU usage, CPU temperature, I don't have memory usage, I don't have a disk usage. Okay, IP signal, all of that I don't have yet. So that's the next step. We need to bring all of that in, and let's make that work. Let's get that to start working. Okay, CPU temperature. One note. You see the CPU temperature is running at 40.6 around degrees Celsius. At some point this ran over 100 degrees Celsius. And we go back to the first video I made where we assembled this. I specifically said it's odd to me that it didn't have a fan. I think on the previous video I also made note of that. So I've got a fan running at the back, one of these old CPU power supply fans, just trying to keep it cool. I will change the whole enclosure. This is off-the-shelf enclosure. I didn't 3D print this to fit the fan as well. Okay, let's start having a look at getting the memory and the disk usage into this, as well as the IP signals. Okay, the one file we missed in all of this is, if you look at the bottom of my HTML file, so this HTML file, I've got the source is a JavaScript in the JavaScript folder, status.js. And I didn't show you that file. So if you go to status.js file, there it loads, function loads. So when it comes into this file, it actually calls a load function, and it says an interval of every 3 seconds it will refresh the page. So what does it do? So if it calls it, it calls that fetch argument, and that fetch argument in your main server file is this get argument here. Okay, so when we go to status JavaScript, the front end, it will ask towards the back end for that section, and in the back end we will start grabbing all this information, and then eventually it will make it available as a JSON file or a JSON. I take it it's an array, and we'll post it to the front. And then on this side we will get all those IDs that we set up in our HTML. So in one we set ID, hostname, CPU, temp, memory we're getting to is still drive, Wi-Fi IP. So all of that we start grabbing this side, and we actually set those values to the parameters that was passed from the server form or the main server running. And the result of that then is what we see here. So let's just refresh that system, and we've got a cluttered workshop or a cluttered page. But you can see the name, you can see the CPU usage, this usage, signal strength. We've got bars for signal strength, and then network. Again, we can change this to LAN and Wi-Fi. Let's, while we're busy with that, let's do that. So let's change that then to LAN. And I'm going to do an update. And if you go back in there, go back into my status, it should say LAN. Okay. We will do no layout, maybe bring us in from the side. We can actually do that as well. So let's say for that class status panel, let's go to our CSS, and let's find status panel here. There's panel here. They spell it wrong. And there's no results of it. So let's create a status panel. So we will do a status panel. We'll do item. And I just want to make sure that I don't double up. I want to make 100% sure I don't double up on what I want to do. I don't see it this side, so that's fine. So status panel for now, I'm going to keep this side. I'm going to say let's put a padding in there let's do a padding left of 100 px, and we do a padding right also of 100 px. We bring it closer to the center, and let's first upload that, see what it looks like. So let's just refresh this, and it didn't do anything. It's on this side, so it didn't do anything. Oh, I made a mistake here, so that needs to go up there. Sorry, my mistake. Got a little bracket mistake, so let's do this. Right. Let's show you what's happening. So now we've got some of the information to the center and those not. And that's only because if we go down, these are not, it should actually also be part of that. It's all part of that whole status panel. Very interesting. If you look here, it's all status panel there, and it's all on this side. And yet we've got information sitting out of line. Margins, let's make it 100 as well. Let's make margin left. I know you can do it in one line as well. I don't like doing it in one line. I actually want to see what I'm busy with. Just upload it, have a look. I'm not going to bore you guys too much with making it pretty. Just thought maybe it's going to be a quick one. No, it's the same. So offline I will do a nice fix, and once I'm done with that I'll get back to you. But let's tackle the last one on this list, and that's the memory usage. So we go back here, and that's the memory one. And I'm going to guess that memory usage will also be called externally. So again, we will go to the server and we will add memory usage here. So and it starts calling immediately a function. Let's just see what it does. So OS total memory fix. So there's a call that was created automatically. So all I want to do is I want to make sure that I've got everything I need to do, string to string, and temperature. So let's put it in here. So it's memory usage, and so memory usage. So this whole section of code was now auto-generated, and I'm just going to leave it like that and see what happens. So I'm going to copy that in here. So I've now added this to the number of variables I'm going to pass to the front. Then in order for that to work in the front, I need to go to the JavaScript that is actually maintaining that front section. And let's do it here. So I'm going to copy this. And again, it automatically picked it up. No. It's just tap, tap. No, tap, tap. You see what can happen with this auto? It keeps doing what it wants. No, what's happening here? Thing. Okay. I need to go to status. I need to see HTML, but they call it memory. Okay, so that section is called memory. That line item, this line item is called memory. So I've got it there as memory. Go again to my status JavaScript, and let's say document memory and memory usage. So it picked up that memory usage is going to be passed to it. It got memory because that is what's called on the inside on my front end memory, and memory usage is the file with, or the variable that's going to be passed from the back end on this side. So I'm going to upload this again, and I haven't tested this, unlike the rest of the code which I've written and then come back and show you guys. I haven't tested this, so let's see what happens now. First of all, I'm going to go to here, home, and there's no memory usage. I'm going to show you guys as well, and then you can tell me what's wrong. Okay, you can guess what's wrong. Answer is simple. I changed the server file. Okay, so the server was changed, so the server needs to be updated. So let's restart the server. Oh, no, sorry, restart the server. Restart it, and it's reloading. There, goes back into there, and suddenly I should have done it on this side actually. So I should restart the server, and then go back into the server, and suddenly my memory usage is there. And that's working. Let's see if we can pass one more thing in for today. One more item. So let's go back to here. We've done the info page, so I'm happy with that, and it's working. Let's see if we can add something else. If we go to home. Now for a while this has been my main screen, so I haven't turned this unit off for the last 2-3 weeks because I want to see that the hardware is actually coping. So let's write a date and time that will start floating around here, and we'll just float around the whole time. So in order to do that, we can close these because we won't be using them. We will be working in the main index file, this short little file. We will be working that one. And I think what we will also be doing is, this will mainly be a JavaScript code in here. Okay, so we will be creating something with our home screen, and let's just refresh that. So the home screen, we said we wanted text to bounce around, date and time. I think that's going to be easiest, just to show the system is running. That will be done in the index section, and I think it's going to be, part of it will be JavaScript, but I think it's going to be a front-end JavaScript that will be running. So in the body, let's say what we want. If we want, again, we want a division or a section. The ID, we can make screen, let's make it screen saver text. Yeah. And then let's make it, give it the style as with text align, text align, center. And see, once auto rotate, I don't want all that extras for now, so let's just end it there. Doesn't like that, so that done. Okay. There's too many divs now, so I'll take that out. Right. What do we want to do in this div? I think we want to have a h2 and that will have an ID. Oh, come on. You see, that's why I'm saying sometimes h2 inside h2 will have an ID of equal to say date time display. Okay, save. Okay, I don't want anything else, so forget about that. And this section here, I've already started moving away to a footer, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm just going to add in a footer here. So that's a body, we need a footer in here. No. See, again, this is doing funny things. Delete. It's enough to get annoyed. I'm just going to copy my footer over from other files. Oh, that's my standard footer, so that's going to eventually I'll write a footer.html file that we will just include into this. So we've got our display there, and let's run it quickly. Let's just see what happens when we run it. Remember, we didn't make any changes to the server itself, so we can just go back to home. There's nothing. Same on this side, so if we just say go back to home, there's nothing. Okay, we can go say in here hello, let's say hello world, and update that again just to make sure that we've got that header file sitting there. There's hello world, and let's just double check on this side as well. So we've got home and there's hello world. So how are you going to get that to float around? That we will do on the front end side. That will be done via script. Let's start writing correct, it will work. And I want to see what you want to do. You want to get date and time? No, it's not really. Okay, there's a call signal there, but it's just going to update the date and time. I actually don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is let's just close that script up and then paste that in. So I've got a custom. Okay, I have a custom. Let me keep that like this. So I've got a custom date time display that I've customized to a UK, because we're in South Africa and UK we use the same type of time format. So now I've got a date and time on top there, and I want to start doing a function here. We're going to repeatedly call a function to move the screen and start screen saver text. And I'd like to close the brackets as well when I'm done. And we're going to have a constant. I'm going to have a text element, and it picked up the wrong stuff. So date time display, no, I want to get that one. So I want to grab that text. Okay, so I want to be able to get that element in that side. Then we're going to do a document by ID. Document dot body dot class list dot add. We're going to add a screensaver class. Then on top of that, I don't want that, we also need a function to create our random positions. So let's do that quickly. So inside this function, we're going to create another function. We will be calling inside your set random position, and very interesting, doesn't matter. I'm just looking what it wants to do. So you already start typing further. I don't want to go further. I want to make sure that what we've got is working. Start top, start left. So I'm going to replace it with my code because I know my code is working. And then further to this function, remember we're still in this main function there. You're going to say set random position. We're going to call that function. Come on, we're going to call it function. So when we start this screensaver text, it's going to do this first section. It's going to get this element. It's going to set it to a new class, and then and this class eventually is going to change, because when we get the cameras, we want to set this to a no class so it can be can disappear. So that's not very important or much important for now. Eventually down the line it will become more important. So then we're going to start calling this function. Then we're going to say let's create a constant, so another constant, and that's correct. So we want to set the interval with the random, so every 5 seconds it's going to call the set random position. Random position, yeah, well, very odd name. Text element, that is an interval intervallet. Not sure what it was to store the interval ID so we can clear it later. I don't want to store anything now. Okay. Then outside on the script, what we're going to do is we're going to say window that unload. So when we load this window, we're going to call the screensaver. So only unload, it's going to call a screensaver. It's going to call that. We're going to grab that element, which will be this element there. We're going to give it the class of screensaver. Give it a screensaver class, and then after we give it a screensaver class, we're going to jump down to here, and we're going to say okay, set the position. And once we've set the position, we're gonna move it around. I feel like I'm missing something here. Okay, we've got two intervals, so we've got a moving around interval running here. So that's moving the text around. So let's just clean this code up a little bit. Okay, so the moving around of the text is separate from us doing the interval here, where we update the text every now and then. So every second we're updating the text. So I'm going to upload that back to the Raspberry Pi, and let's see what the difference is. Right, so we didn't update the server, so we can just do a page refresh. And we've got the time date setting there, doing absolutely nothing. And we expected it to move around. So we've been doing something wrong. So that section is working. So that part is working. It's grabbing the element that time display, and it then goes through a rigmarole of setting it up so it can actually increment. The section that doesn't work is this start text section. And the first thing I'm going to check is are our IDs and stuff correct. So the division script text, screensaver text, we've got that correct. And screensaver add class. Now the question is that screensaver class, let's just look for that here. Screensaver, no, it's not here. Right, so there is something I missed, and that is in CSS, and the screensaver style I completely missed. I did say that this screensaver should not have any effect on it, but it actually does, because there's a section in here that says relative position, so it can move around, and it also has set the text as absolute, but the screensaver box as a relative. And that's very important to have that in your code, otherwise you're going to be static like it's doing now. So I'm going to go back to this page. So yes, so if you make it static, it's not going to move, it's going to stay where it is. If we make it relevant, then we can start moving it around. We'll see what's going to happen if we do it now. And there it works. So I'm going to do the same this side, home. And we've got the text moving around the whole time. Now we can start adding to this again. We can add some additional information. I don't think it's necessary for now. This video is getting long enough as it is. What I have done off camera is I actually went and made this look neater. So I used a grid style. So let's just go back to my status. So what I've done is another grid style tables. I've started using tables. I actually personally enjoy using tables and not grids and divisions. Tables for me just works nicer and easier, and I think I understand tables a lot better. So I've moved all of this into tables. What I've done was I've moved, or I included Bluetooth. So there's a little Bluetooth section that says Bluetooth is on and off. I want to write the SSID section still, but I still need to see how we can do that. So we can see to which Wi-Fi we are connected to. And that's today's topic. Going back to our spreadsheet. Yeah, we said we've done today's topic. Next on the list, we're going to write the INI file manager. And yet again, the idea will be to stuff that you need to set up. For instance, we'll have a menu button, add an extra menu button in here, and stuff like your Wi-Fi you're linking to, your Bluetooth on off, IP addresses, all of that we want to store in an INI file. So eventually when we do setups in the field, we want to set that up and leave it like that, and if need, make minor changes. And that's really important, because we need to be able to read from that file, do our necessary setting up in the background, as well as making those changes and flagging it for updating again, which I think is going to be easiest just to reboot the whole server again, by just saying restart server. So that will be in the next video, guys. With this, I'm signing out on this one. Hopefully the next video won't take that long to come out. I'll see you on the next one, guys. And those who want to follow these projects, please like, subscribe. I see lately the like button is there by You will drop the bell icon, and then a like or a subscribe button is there. It's here and now. Do me a favor, click on that button. Helps me a lot. I don't have a lot of followers yet. But if you like it, you see how some projects will get live. That's what this channel is all about, fixing stuff and making projects or systems from absolutely nothing. Guys, with that, I'm out.